What's up, everybody? Mr. Scheider here. This is going to be your first actual math lesson, and I'm kind of excited. So we're going to jump right into it. Your first lesson is going to be about decimals, and we're going to start off with something pretty basic as far as decimals go. This is going to be some review of what you guys already know. So we're going to go back and do a little bit of vocabulary here, talk about decimals and place value. Do a few practice problems, and then you guys have a couple of questions to answer for your homework. It's going to be a nice, cool little intro lesson, nothing too crazy. All right, so the first thing we're going to talk about is what a decimal is. Decimal, right here, is a number containing a decimal point. In the number, each digit's place value is 10 times the value to the right. So for example, if we're talking about the ones place right here next to the decimal, that's ones. If we're talking a 0 in the ones place, that means 0 ones. The next place over to the left, or the tens place, 10 times bigger than the ones place, which makes sense because 10 is 10 times bigger than 1. And then you got the hundreds place after that. Think about that. 100 is 10 times bigger than 10. So when it says that, that's what it's talking about, right? But then going to the other side, your tenths, hundredths, thousands, as it gets smaller, that's 10 times smaller every time you go down. So the numbers that you see going further right down here are smaller and smaller and smaller. You might say something like, well, Mr. Justin, a 6 is bigger than a 5. Well, the digit might be, but 6 millionths is not bigger than 500 thousandths. Right? It gets smaller and smaller and smaller, tinier, 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 tinier. The further you go that way. Okay, so let's take a number and let's look at it, right? Let's start off with a pretty easy one. Let's go 2.1. Right? Or 2 1/10. And we need to talk about something real quick. The number over here on this side of the decimal is a whole number, right? So when we say 2.1 or 2 1/10, the 2 is a whole number. So for example, if I say 2 1/10, I'm talking about at least 2 of something. For example, I've got 2 mints here. I found these in my desks. Don't ask me why I'm using mints. Okay. So you got 2 mints. That represents the whole number, right? So if we're talking about an object, it's 2 whole mints. Well, then what does the 1 on the other side mean? Does that mean another mint? So we have 2 mints and 1 mint? No, not at all. The number that comes after that decimal stands for part of a number. And what does part of a number mean? Well, it's just part of something. So if we're talking about mints, we've got 2 whole mints. And then what do we got here? Part of a mint. Now that's out of the way. So we've got 2 mints and 1/10 of a mint. I don't know if that's exactly 1/10 of a mint, but that's about right. I hope you get the idea, right? Whole number on this side, part of a number on this side. Let's get this out of here before I get in trouble. The janitor's not going to be happy about that one. Okay, so let's go to a couple practice problems here and see what I'm talking about, right? What I'm going to ask you guys to do is tell me what the value or what the place value is of a number in that position. So what's really going to help you is that place value chart that we were just looking at. Now that's going to be up in your activity today. Don't worry, it'll be there. You can use it. You can even pull one up of your own. Just Google search place value chart. You can use it anytime you need it, I promise. So you might get a question like this. Here's a number, 1 and 58 thousandths. We're like 1.058, right? The reason I know it's 58 thousandths is because I know it goes 1, 2, 3 places to the right of that decimal, and I know it goes tenths, hundredths, thousandths. Okay, so what I'm going to do is find the value of this number right there. Actually, back. If I look at my place value chart, what place is 2 places over from the decimal? So look here on my place value chart, and here's the decimal, and I'm going to go 1, 2 places over. That looks like the hundredths place. So that must be 5 hundredths. That would be the place value, right? So we'll say that's the hundredths place. Hundredths place. And if I asked the value of that number, you would say 5 hundredths. Okay. Let's drop down to the next one. What is the value of the 5, or the place value of the 5, and this number? We've got 3 and a lot of decimal places there. But if we look over, it's going over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 places all the way into the decimal. That's a really small piece of something, right? So I'm going to look at my place value chart here, and I'm going to go over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 places. That looks like the 100,000ths. Tiny, tiny number. So that is the 100,000ths place for the 5 and that number right there. And then we got one more down here. We've got 16.52. There's a 0 there, but it doesn't add value to the number. 16 and 520 thousandths. The question is, what place is this 5 in? Right there. That 5. One place over the decimal. Let's check it out real quick. Here's my decimal. One place over here. That must be the tenths place. So that is a 5 in the tenths. Whoops. Place. And the value of that 5 will be 5 tenths. Hope this was a lot of information, or not too much information, but hopefully it helps you guys out in the activity. They explain it as well. If I didn't do a good job, please use that. But answer the questions for me after this video. Be done, and then I'll see you tomorrow.